And we are back this time, and I'm with Flying Rich. I'm sorry about that, guys. It's just stuff happens, right?
We need to rehearse more.
Yeah, well, I've been messing around with stuff all day, and I don't think I did it quite right. But hey, what do I know, right?
So happy almost Friday.
Happy almost Friday. I really need it. Telling you, man. I am really telling you, I am not. ah, like one of those days, right? You know the
Indeed.
Biscuit song,
Which one?
Break Stuff.
No.
Do you know any Limp Bizkit songs?
Like maybe if it was popular, but probably couldn't name it.
Yeah, well, whatever. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the everything going on in firearms news, and we are going to be breaking it down. If you don't know who I am, my name is John Crump. I'm an investigative journalist, and I keep an eye on the two on the 2A space. And I have been doing a lot of research. I got some really interesting articles coming out, including one tomorrow. There's going to be some big news that might affect some of our friends in a good way. So yeah, so we're doing that. Rich, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Flying Rich, flyingrich.com, Flying Rich on YouTube, and Flying Rich Firearms on YouTube. And if you want to get a hold of me, you could go to my website, flyingrich.com, or on the grams, hit me up, flyingrich_official.
All right, that works for me. All right, guys. So if you don't know, there's been a lot going on this week and last week. We even got a decision today, and I put out a
Is it a
video.
6-3 Supreme Court decision?
No, I did see something. This is 8-1 Supreme Court decision, but uh, this is a a a case that dealt with waiting periods in Maine. If you don't know, there was a shooting in Maine in 2023 at a bowling alley. Because of
Oh,
that,
right.
Maine passed a law requiring that there be a waiting period or a 72-hour waiting period. They call it a cooling off period. They say it's going to help with murders and also suicides. I
Yeah,
don't
did the perp go to a gun store, buy a gun, and then start shooting?
No, I think I think he had it for a while.
So, cause and reaction, knee jerk.
Yeah, it's definitely a knee-jerk reaction.
So, in other words, Brady or, whatever gun grabbing organization's like, hey, we got this bill you could pass. Has nothing to do with what happened, but you could pass it, make you feel good.
Of course, that's what they always do, right?
So, it's virtue signaling legislation.
Yeah, it's definitely virtual signaling legislation, but what else do you expect, right? They do a lot of virtual signaling stuff. But a judge today, a federal judge, ruled that the law runs afoul of the Constitution. He issued a preliminary injunction. To get a preliminary injunction, you need a couple different things. The first thing you need is likely to succeed on the merits of the case, and they definitely were because the people have a right to right to buy firearms. The people is the people of the majority age, which is 18 in the United States. So check one box there. The right to arms is protected. Guns are protected arms. Check a box there. You might want to say, but this has to do with acquisition of firearms. Well, in the McDonald case, they said you have an absolute right for acquisition of firearms. So therefore, the conduct of the plaintiffs are presumably constitutional. Now you got to move on to step two. Step two of an injunction, because it's an extraordinary measure, it's not a right. Step two says irreparable harm. Let's talk about, what irreparable harm is, Rich?
Something that can't be repaired with money.
Yeah, basically, you can't have enough money. No matter how much money you spend on it, you're not going to be able to repair it. Right?
Correct.
So basically what is going on there is that They said that the harm was done to a person's rights, and you can never repair damage done to a person's rights via monetary means. So, therefore, the plaintiffs had irreparable harm. But before we get into that, I just wanted to go over that really fast. Let's go back to merits of the case. So we know that the people are protected by the plain text of the Second Amendment. Now, what do they go? What's step 2 of Bruin?
Text, history, and tradition.
What
So
text is that
history.
from? History and tradition of the nation's firearms regulation from when, Rich?
Well, it's basically when the Second Amendment was ratified. So was that 1791?
1791, the ratification date of the Second Amendment, but some people try to use the 14th Amendment, which was what date?
Oh, I forget, but that was 14th.
1868 during the Reconstruction period, where a bunch of racist Jim Crow laws passed. And that's why the anti-gun authorities try to use that, because that's really the birthplace of gun control, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's when they went nuts, because they didn't want the newly freed slaves to be able to defend themselves against getting lynched.
Yeah. But so they have to, the farther away a case gets from the founding era, the less weight it holds. So they have to present historical analogs. In Rahimi, which was another case, they said it doesn't have to be a historical twin, but it must be.
So let's say waiting period. They don't doesn't necessarily has to say there needs to be a 3-day waiting period in the before 1791, but it could be something like, hey, if you seem mad, I don't want to sell you a gun.
Yeah, ADF Firearm is out there, and he has now became a member of the Young Crump Mafia.
And we have Mr. Vinro in the chat.
Mr. Vinro is good. Okay, so we get that settled, right? So step 1 of Bruin, the onus is on the plaintiff to prove that it's covered by the original text. Step 2 is on the federal government. The federal government does that by presenting analogs. They presented one analog in this case. That analog was drunk people could be disarmed when they were drunk during the founding era. The judge basically looked at him and said, "Really? That's what you're bringing? That's it? Really?"
Yeah.
So basically, they didn't have any other historical analogs. That was it. They had one historical analog, which the judge rejected. So now that to succeed likely on the merits of the case goes for the plaintiffs, and we have irreparable harm that's already for the plaintiffs. The final 2 things is the balance of interest and public interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said that the balance of interest lies with the plaintiffs because their rights are being violated, and the balance of interest fits the likely to succeed on the merits, and also irreparable harm falls for the plaintiff. Then the balance of interest must fall for the plaintiff. So it goes to the plaintiff. In public interest, the judge said, "Hey, some people in the public have an interest of banning firearms, but the Constitution says I can't do it, so I'm not going to do it. Too bad, too sad. Bye-bye." And he issued a preliminary injunction in Maine blocking the 72-hour waiting period in Maine. Right now, this only affects the law in Maine because that is the particular law in Maine. The next step is they're going to go to oral arguments where both sides will present their case and try to get something passed. So that is what's going on in that case. It's a very interesting case. And I do want to say ADF Firearms is a monthly supporter over on Rumble. Remember, on March 3rd, we're moving totally over to Rumble. So, after this, it's going to be appealed, and when it gets up to the higher courts, this might have a chance to take down waiting periods everywhere. But there's a bunch of other cases with waiting periods that are going on, and I think waiting periods are going to go away. In fact, I'm
So
pretty sure they are.
for the most part, we have preemption in Florida, but I forget what county it is in Gainesville. They actually have a waiting period.
Yeah, Florida is really weird because Florida, their state law allows waiting periods to be issued.
But every other county doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really do not get it, but what can you do? Uh, I don't know. LA Vino Latino wants to know no more Twitch streams either. We might keep the Twitch going. Actually, probably will keep Twitch going. I know there are a couple people that watch it over there, but we're gonna get off YouTube. That's the main goal, is to leave YouTube. So we'll probably still go to Twitter and Twitch, but I doubt. But we're not gonna go to YouTube.
I'm excited because I get to touch firearms.
Yeah, that's the main reason that we're going there. But we will still be doing like stuff on YouTube as well. But yep. Locals. Is that the same? Both Locals and Rumble are both owned by the same people. So yeah, there's that. Okay, and now there's been another case that recently has come actually cases, and that is the Pauls and the government's actions in firearms cases, so they can review everything. I know that like Larassier doesn't like it, but there's other attorneys that likes it, so we're gonna have to see where that goes. I am hopeful that it's gonna go the right way and they're going to stop defending cases, but some people want the cases to continue so we can defeat it in court once and for all.
Well, I mean, how does this apply in the Bill of Rights to something like freedom of speech, religion, press? Is it still your right if you have to wait 72 hours to speak? Or, as I frequently use, the right to sit wherever you want on the damn bus?
Yeah,
I mean, you can ride the bus, you just can't ride in the front of the bus.
yeah.
I always find the mental gymnastics that judges or attorneys try to present are just crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Just some of the stuff they did. Like last week, we had the suppressor case, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a bad
So
ruling.
suppressors aren't firearms, so why do I fill out a 4473 to transfer a suppressor?
Because by statute, there's two. They're firearms in the GCA and also the NFA. So
It's amazing to me that if we have laws specifying that they're firearms, how can anyone argue against that?
I'm not really sure. But they did. They 100% did.
Which again has been a tactic of the ATF over and over whenever it suits them to argue that they're firearms or argue that they're not firearms.
Yeah. Definitely. It's really bizarre how they think that they can do that and get away with it.
So Trump, it was it a week ago or was it a week ago Friday that he came out with the Second Amendment?
It was a week ago.
Executive order.
6 days ago. So it was last Friday. That was the Second Amendment thing, and we are very cautiously optimistic about that. There's a lot that we can get done. One of the things that we can get done is that there is a must-pass bill coming up, and we can attach at least a little bit of the stuff to that.
Is that the Shush Act?
No, that's not a must-pass bill. There's certain bills that can pass with that must pass. So we can like NDAA and stuff like that.
Okay, so what you're talking about is attaching legislation to must-pass bills like the NDAA.
Correct.
Okay.
Definitely attaching legislation to must-pass bills. So that is one of the things that is one of the tactics that we're going to use to get through some of the bills is to attach them to must-pass bills because we're not going to get very much through. One of the interesting things is the Shush Act. I always say Hush, but it used to be Hush, but now it's Shush Act and the HPA. A lot of people think that they're the same bill, but they're two different bills. Hearing Protection Act and the Shush Act are two different bills. There's a little bit different. There's a little bit of difference in them, and I'm going to tell you the difference, and I want you guys to decide which one do you like better. The HPA would remove suppressors from the NFA, but leave them on the GCA. The proponent of that says that's better because that means that they're firearms and have Second Amendment protection, unless the Fifth Circuit did what the Fifth Circuit did recently. So that's one of the things. The Shush Act would remove them from the GCA and the NFA. I kind of like the NFA better, but I can see what their point is. I don't agree with their point, but I can definitely see what the point is. You know, but what's your feelings on that, Rich?
It's kind of, twisting your mind a little bit. It's like, well, if it's a firearm and protected, okay. If it's not a firearm and I don't have to pay any taxes or any extra anything to get it, I think what the real solution is education of people that they understand a suppressor isn't what we see in the movies. A suppressor doesn't make you an assassin. Nobody commits crimes with a suppressor. In the last 50 years, there have been 2 crimes with suppressors. Just move along. Probably more crimes are committed with shovels and garden rakes.
Yeah, definitely. It's like legally registered machine guns. Do you know how many registered machine guns have been used in crimes?
Like 2 in the last 50 years.
1.
I know. Was it a cop with a MAC-10?
Yes.
With a grudge?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
And so we're talking legally owned machine guns, not guys in Chicago with Glock switches.
Yeah, these are legally owned machine guns. These aren't Glock switches or anything else like that. These are legally owned machine guns.
All right, I got to ask Kurt, does he know this from empirical testing? You don't have to say. Yeah, so Virginia Beach, somebody had a suppressed 1911. They went into the what was it, the town hall, and shot it up.
It was so that which is interesting because that proves that suppressors aren't any more dangerous. It doesn't make a gun any more dangerous because something about that is people heard it and called the police.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that was a lawfully owned suppressor, and the CEO killing was a home-built illegal suppressor, which I don't think there should be any legal or illegal suppressors. I think they all should be legal. Just like illegal aliens, there's nobody's illegal on suppressors, that is.
Exactly. There should be no illegal suppressors.
This is exactly what is it, the Die Hard movie Glock 7, and then they made a law that you have to have a certain amount of metal in a gun.
Yeah, we definitely have to have a certain amount of metal in the gun.
So it's the Untraceable Firearms Act or Undetectable Firearms Act, I believe. Exactly. So the politicians have their heads full of goo. Don't know what they're talking about, and then they make laws about things that throw people in frickin' jail because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. what we're gonna do in about like 5 minutes or so, we are going to leave YouTube and just broadcast the Rumble for the rest of the stream since we're experimenting today.
Uh-huh.
So I placed the link over there. So if you guys want to start going over there, that's fine. Which you don't have to worry about that, guys. We'll keep on broadcasting here. But I just want to push people over to my Rumble. We're gonna start doing this. Basically, what we're gonna do until the end of the month is we're gonna do half the stream on here.
To get
And
people used to the transition. We're
yeah, and then
transitioning.
exactly. Exactly. So start making your way over to Rumble, and that would be great.
So I got a question about the ATF using facial recognition. What is that? What are they doing with it? How are they using it?
Next question.
You're not going to comment on that?
Okay. That facial recognition software has nothing to do with me, but there might be facial recognition software in the federal government that has to do with me. So, per the agreement,
You don't want to comment.
I don't want to comment on that. No, it's not that. It's just don't. Okay, let's say I comment something. I say something negative about the company that's doing it or whatnot.
Okay, got it.
I don't want them to say, tortious interference or anything like that.
So can I ask a hypothetical about? Nah, I'm not going to do it. All right, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, it's fine, but I just don't want the I don't want to take any
I get where
chance.
you're going. It could avoid a lawsuit of some kind that would
Yeah, I'm
cost
not worried about
money,
the federal
even if
government
you're
or anything.
right.
It's just, I worked on a competitor to that.
So Pam Bondi shakes up the ATF. Is Pam Bondi still pushing for what's the guy's name to be? He's the acting ATF director.
Marvin Richardson.
So she's pushing for Martin Richardson.
Marvin.
I'm sorry, Marvin.
Martin Richardson. He's working for Martin Lawrence.
Right. So Marvin, which wasn't he acting under Biden also?
Yeah, he was acting under Biden for a while. Then he got replaced by
wood chipper. Wood chipper is all I got to say. One word. Wood chipper.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, no Biden holdovers. Done. Moving on.
Moving on up to the sky. Great show. Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, I don't like the guy. He does not like me. Holy crap, does he not like me?
Marvin?
Marvin does. No, Marvin hates me, man.
So the problem with Pam Bondi is, first off, she was Florida AG, and when the Parkland legislation came through with all the red flag laws, it was a what would you call it? A cornucopia of all sorts of BS anti-2A laws, and that just got forced through the legislature of Florida super fast.
That is his nickname, Marvin the Martian.
So if they don't like Crump, I'm against him.
Dude, no one in the ATF likes me.
I hope there's got to be somebody in the ATF that
a couple people internally that like me, but overall, I'm pretty sure they don't like me.
Dang.
I know. Like, I'm a nice guy.
Yep. I would say so.
I do cool stuff. I'm going to put the link out there. Do 5-minute countdown before we go. But yeah, I'm a nice guy. I do cool stuff. And yet, they don't like me.
So let's see. What else we got news-wise?
You know what we got?
What do we got?
We have a bunch of good cases that are working their way through the legal system.
And hopefully, Florida Open Carry will be one of them.
Hopefully, yes. Maybe even Florida, you get a Hughes carry. If you don't know, if you guys are out there and you don't know, Rich is suing for open carry in Florida. He is the GOA plaintiff.
So the disappointing thing about the case is it's not getting heard until November.
Yeah, they always do that. They always slow roll it. It's really, really ridiculous.
So we just had a bill introducing a law, or let me say, bill introduced to stop bank transactions tracking firearms.
Yes, that is a big thing. That is one of the things I've been reporting. Actually, you know what? You know who got that information before it was available to the general public?
You?
Of course, me. Of course. To the general public, I got it all, and I told everyone. And a lot of people at the time said, including Yankee Marshall, said I was full of BS. That's not the way it works. And guess what, guys? Exactly how it works.
It's so funny. I had a beef with Yankee Marshall and I stopped following him, and I don't get any notifications on YouTube whatsoever of him now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah. I put it out there and it's true. And now they are pushing a bill. Actually, before the bill came out, I got like a message, and it was a congressman. He's like, "Hey, just want to let you know this is coming out." I thought that was kind of cool.
Very cool.
And the bill would prevent that. And one of the cool things about the bill is it preempts the states from passing their own laws. You got to remember the whole thing about the credit card thing. You know who pushed that? The anti-gunners. The anti-gunners pushed that.
Well, it's so the thing about buying a firearm is all of the tracking. Now, I don't know, like if I buy something, let's say it's from PSA to get shipped to my FFL, I don't know how they know it's mine. But
Well, they wouldn't know what you bought. They just know that you bought from a firearms store. All right, I linked the link one more time. We are going to drop off of YouTube, then we can talk. And if you want to pick up a gun, Rich, in a minute, you can. So hold
I'm
on.
looking around. Most of them are stored.
Wait till I stop it.
I can't touch this. It's virtual.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna. Okay, we are dead on my channel, and now we're gonna go dead on your channel, Rich. If you're on